A lot of states are 16 today.
Probably for the same reasons that none of the in the Epstein files are being held accountable.
This is what we need to be talking about. This is so sick. I've been listening to you for a long time, and while I do love you, even though I still support Trump, I still think that our country really needs a strong leader, and I believe that our country should have a strong border. And I believe that we definitely need to have a way to have all of its citizens prove that they're citizens when they go to vote.
Okay, they already do that, but I mean, hey.
So do you think when you go to vote that you need to prove that you're a citizen?
Yeah.
With an ID?
In order for that vote to count, your citizenship has to be proven, yes.
So what's the whole thing? Why are people saying that? Why are they voting against the SAVE Act?
Well, people are voting against the SAVE Act because it excludes a lot of people and reduces the amount of citizens that can vote, particularly women who are married who have a different last name on their birth certificate than they might have on their as their current last name after marrying. As well as in a lot of states, the push is for only accepting real IDs. Many people don't have real IDs. A lot of people don't have real IDs. The FAA has been trying to get TSA to change their regulatory guidelines to only accept real IDs when going through security at airports. The first deadline that they set was 2017. They said, okay, by July 2017, we will only accept real IDs when you're entering into the airport. Okay. And then they realized that not everyone had a real ID. So then they're like, okay, by 2020. So then 2020 came along. They said, by 2020, we will only accept real IDs when you're coming into the airport. They realized not everyone had real IDs. So then they said, okay, 2023. So then they said, okay, at 2023, you're going to need a real ID when you come to the airport. 2023 comes around. They realize that not everyone has a real ID. So then they say 2025. So not
I don't understand how
they
they get from 2017 to 2025. What's the problem in not being able to get an ID? I just don't understand.
It's not getting an ID. It's getting the real ID. And the real ID is something that DMVs across the country only started to do a handful of years ago. And A, they're more expensive. And B, not everyone has one because most people still have their licenses from before this real ID thing started. And they don't get a new one because it costs money. And so because of this real ID thing, the other options are going to be your birth certificate or passport. Passports take a month to get. They're $100. Not everyone has one of those. But, most people obviously have a birth certificate, but most people also don't really know where their birth certificate is. I don't know where the hell my birth certificate is. It's probably in my dad's filing cabinet, 150 miles away, right? But even if you all do have your birth certificate, then we will run into the issue if you're a married woman, well, you have a different last name, likely, than what shows on your birth certificate. So then all of a sudden, if you're a married woman without a passport or a real ID, you can't fucking vote if the SAVE Act passes.
So don't you, my daughter just turned 15. I tried calling you the other day and she was driving, but we went to the DMV and one of the requirements for her to get her driver's license was to have a birth certificate. And then I'm pretty sure, I got married 22 years ago, but
We'd hope that your daughter's not married for 14 months,
me. I'm just saying, I don't recall it being a big deal to just bring in my marriage certificate, whatever was on the. I don't think that it was extremely difficult to get that information, whatever I needed. I don't think it was
the issue is it makes it significantly harder because it's now imposing all of these new barriers to entry when we already have a system that we know is safe, right? The system that we have right now is you got to register to vote. And when you register to vote, you got to prove your citizenship by giving your social security number and your street address. Okay. And then when you go to vote in many states, there's already any form of ID required. Okay. In other states, they then check your vote against your registration to ensure that it's you via giving your proper information to ensure that you're a citizen, to ensure that is a real vote. Now the SAVE Act is just imposing all these unnecessary guidelines on, having to be carrying around your birth certificate. And if you're married and last name changed, also, your fucking marriage license or your $100 passport that takes 4 months to get. It makes it harder for citizens to vote.
Are they saying is having
a lot of citizens?
So is a passport included in the SAVE Act?
Yeah, so you could vote with a passport.
No, but is that required?
Because
I would agree that would.
I'd be hesitant to say that it's required, but I'll also be honest, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I don't know. It bothers me why they're fighting to say that you don't need, an ID with your birth. I mean, I just feel like that should be required to just prove who you say you are. And maybe there should be some more reform movements to where you can call or look it up wherever you were born to get it for free. I would
So
totally.
in other words, are you just saying that you support Trump because you think that he's good for election safety?
No, that's just one of the many reasons of what he like his policies that he supports. I mean, I guess another thing.
If you care about like safe elections, you would never support Trump in a billion years. Like right now, he's saying that he wants to nationalize the midterms in Democratic states. So then he's controlling it all. Okay, first and foremost, that is unconstitutional. The articles of our Constitution expressly give the right to the states in order to manage those elections, and the reason why it does it is to separate powers to prevent a dictatorial takeover with one man at the top saying, this was the outcome of the vote in that state that I'm running. Okay, that's already compromised. And then the second point that I make here is he told the New York Times like a month ago that he regrets not seizing the voting machines following the 2020 election so then he could take them back to the White House and count them himself. Okay, and that was on top of him trying to install himself for a second term by telling Bill Barr, the Attorney General of the DOJ, to just falsely announce widespread voter fraud when he had no evidence. Okay, and then telling Mike Pence to certify these fake ballots that were apparently to become true if the DOJ were to announce voter fraud. Like, oh my God, if you care about our elections, okay, fuck this conversation about the SAVE Act. We need to get Trump the hell out of there because he's been the largest threat to American elections ever.
Right. I feel like that whole election thing, and when he was saying they cheated and the whole thing with Pence, I mean, yeah, there that was problematic for sure. That, I mean, I don't really have it.
Yeah. How's that for unsafe elections? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How's that for unsafe elections?
I think that was messed up, and I think that just caused the country to be more divided, which isn't good. But
which is actually when I stopped supporting Trump. I was a Trump supporter until J6 because I recognized that would divide the country to a level never seen.
Did it bother you? Wasn't it around that time where there was a whole bunch of looters and people were setting things on fire, and it just seems like they were just getting away with it? There was nothing happened. Like they could just do that. Did that bother you?
Under the Trump administration?
I don't remember, actually. I just remember seeing in Democratic states.
Like the BLM riots in
Democratic
2020
cities,
under
it was
Trump?
like it happened in Democratic cities where they were like looting and rioting.
Like under
and
Trump,
I feel like,
though, right?
I mean, I don't remember either. I don't remember.
I do. 2020
it must have been.
BLM riots under
Sure.
Trump.
Right, but it was in a Democratic run like city.
Well, I mean, Donald Trump has been deploying the National Guard to democratically run cities. It seems like he had that ability in 2020 and refused to. Why?
Well, I don't know. I could ask the same thing. Why?
Well, do you think
what was
it was
her
maybe
name?
to
Nancy
give him
Pelosi?
more like political advantage to do what he did on J6? The Democrats are unhinged. They're burning our cities down. They're rioting and looting our stores. Extreme, problems call for extreme fixes. And our extreme fix is going to be to literally fix the election.
No,
and there was not a single Democrat in any public of office anywhere during the BLM riots that turned around and said that, the people burning the buildings down and raiding the targets, are patriots that deserve to be let free. Not a single one. But every Republican following 2020 looked at those domestic terrorist thugs, that tried to kill cops, that raided the Capitol to try to kill the congressmen and women like Ashley Babbitt, what a fucking thug. Or the other people that tried to smear their shit on the walls, literally flew the Confederate flag, caused, tens of $millions in property damage. Every single one of them was given a full and complete presidential pardon by nobody other than Trump himself. And they were all labeled patriots. Every single one of those domestic terrorists.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Right. It is. But the reason he didn't care is because they were furthering his agenda of this unilateral totalitarian takeover of the country. Okay? And we know that he doesn't care about, trying to kill cops because he's been trying to kill Democrats in Congress. Isn't that a crazy statement? Donald Trump has been trying to kill Democrats in Congress because they disagree with his agenda. But it's true. He called for 7 Democrats in Congress to be publicly executed via means of hanging because they reminded the military that if Trump gives them an illegal order, they're not lawfully bound to follow it.
Wow. That's messed up too.
I think it's an act. I think it's an act of domestic terrorism. I think it's an act of treason.
Right. I mean, I can't say that I agree with that either.
I know, but I feel like these things are like very obvious red lines. Imagine that Biden did any of those things. Imagine that Biden caused 1,600 liberals to raid the Capitol, try to kill cops, and gave them pardons. Imagine that Biden said that he wants a bunch of Republicans in Congress executed. Imagine that Biden had a court find that he raped a woman. Imagine that Biden did all this shit. He'd be fucking toast. I mean, oh my God, he'd be done.
Right. Okay. Well, let's talk about things that bothered me during Biden when he was president.
True. Tell me, what in 5 sentences or less, why did you not support Biden as president?
Okay, so during the Biden administration, was it not Democrats that typically push for trans women to go into the locker rooms to be able to just be welcomed if you change your identity, even kids?
Locker rooms, usually the conversation surrounding locker rooms is unisex individual stalls. When we're talking about locker rooms, I listen, I understand, okay, if there would be a cis woman that would be uncomfortable with a trans woman in the locker room, the same way I would be uncomfortable with a cis man in my locker room, even though I'm also a cis man. I just don't like seeing people naked. I'd be uncomfortable with I don't know. I just get uncomfortable when I see other people naked, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
So on the locker room topic, I just kind of want, I'm kind of pushing for this unisex individual stall view. The bathroom topic, yeah, there's a lot of more progressive voices, including myself, that thinks that trans women should be able to use a women's restroom.
You do think so?
Yes.
But so where do you draw the line? Because you go into a gym, right? And it's labeled restroom, but then it's also attached to some locker room. So how are you going to punish that? Or where would you draw that line?
So, I think that we should have unisex individual changing rooms in public places like gyms. But the reason why I think that trans women should be able to go into the women's restroom is because it's safer for everyone inside, including the cis women. It is just ultimately the best way to do it. Because we have 2 different options here. Okay, the first option is to segregate restrooms on the basis of gender identity. And then the second way is to segregate restrooms on the basis of biological sex. When we segregate restrooms on the basis of biological sex, you're saying that trans men should be going into the women's restroom because they're biologically female. But the effect that testosterone has on anybody, including the body of a female, is insane. Okay, there are many trans men out there that look more masculine than the average cis man. So you're saying people that look more masculine than the average cis man should be able to go into the women's restroom, which only opens the door wider to cis men going inside of that space and taking advantage of the women inside. But when we segregate restrooms on the basis of gender identity, which is the only other option, okay, we're saying that trans women should be going into that space. Obviously, trans women are significantly less masculine presenting on average compared to trans men, meaning that on average, we'd be having less masculine individuals going into that space. Okay, therefore, the door wouldn't be open as wide to cis men entering into the women's restroom to take advantage of the people inside. See, ultimately, the evaluation that we're doing here is what would be safest for the women, not because of trans men or trans women, but because of cis men taking advantage of the rules. But if you're concerned with people who you think are men going inside of private women's only spaces, okay, so I'm very concerned with cis men going in women's restrooms, for instance.
I'm sorry,
right?
When you say
Let me ask you a
cis
question.
men,
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What I'm not I'm not sure I understand what you refer to when you say a cis men.
Me. So I'm a cis man. Trump's a cis man. Your gender identity aligns with your phenotypical sex traits. We'll just use the word man from here on out. Okay. So you're not as confused. We'll just use the word man to refer to cis men. I try to do that. I want to be able to debate you on the substance here, but I don't expect you to be able to pick up on the way that I use language immediately. So I'll just use the word man to refer to cis men. Okay. How would you feel if a man were to go into a woman's dressing room? How'd that make you feel?
Uncomfortable.
And what if a man went into a woman's restroom, like unconsensually, specifically to take advantage of the women and girls inside. How would that make you feel?
Uncomfortable.
Okay, so if a man were to barge into a woman's dressing room to then look at the naked women and girls inside, what should happen to them? Should they go to jail?
I'm pretty sure you're referring to when Trump went into the dressing room of the pageants, right?
Oh, no, my cover's been
I'm
blown.
not.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah, the
saying that
president,
was,
Mr. Trump,
I'm not
barged
I would
into
never
the dressing
defend
rooms
him.
of women
That
and
was
girls
wrong.
to then look at them while they were naked.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Right, it is fucking disgusting. What do you think happens when we take somebody that's not just done those things, but boasted about it like they're funny, and then we put them in the most powerful ranking position available to any human alive? The only political party incentivizing more men to take advantage of women and girls in their private spaces right now is the GOP for putting a man that has taken advantage of women and girls in their private spaces in the fucking Oval Office.
So I think that what he did was wrong for sure. Definitely. I think it was disgusting. And I don't think that there's any excuse for that. But do I think that I would rather vote for Harris? No.
Why is that not disqualifying? Why is that not disqualifying?
I don't. What year was that?
90s, early 2000s.
Okay, so if somebody did something like that 30 years ago, I would be like, yeah, you were. I mean, that's wrong. That's messed up. But that was 30 years ago. I mean, are you doing? I mean, I'm not trying to say that what he did was okay. I'm not. But at the same time, I'm, a Christian. I do believe that people can change. I'm not saying that I'm not. I'm not going to look at something 30 years ago and define his whole character based on doing that. Was it
wrong? What if he raped a
Yes,
child
absolutely.
30 years ago? Would you define his whole character based upon that then?
Yes, I would absolutely define his whole character if he did anything.
So it doesn't matter how long ago it was. It matters how wrong.
No, but if it was a child
participated in.
What, did he do that to a child?
They walked into their dressing rooms? Yeah.
Well, how old was the child?
14 through 17. Multiple.
And you've proof of that.
Yes.
Well, that's disgusting. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Should
somebody like that be president?
No, if they walked in on a naked child dressing, no.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I feel like if he did that, then something should have happened. Like, was he punished for that?
98% of rapists, okay, are never held accountable to the full extent of the law. So no.
Why is
including
that?
A lot of the people inside of the Epstein files, because he's rich and powerful, including a lot of people in the Epstein files. In the Epstein files, we have pictures that were redacted, but their descriptions were not. And I want to share one with you. There's one document from the Epstein files with a photo that's redacted, but then the description of the photo describes the photo to be a naked, bloodied up 12-year-old girl being held by 5 men with bloody fingers inserting them into their private parts. Those 5 men have not gone to jail.
What?
Yes.
So
the only two
that's
people
what we should be talking about here.
The only 2 people that have gone to jail in connection with the Epstein files are Epstein himself and Ghislaine Maxwell.
This is making me very sick.
It should. Honestly, it should make everyone sick.
This is what we need to be talking. I mean, that's what I feel like we should be putting our focus on right now. They should absolutely be in prison, because I've heard that other prisoners don't take too kindly on pedophiles, and I'm very glad. I hope that they get what they deserve in prison today. They need to be thrown in there today.
Want to know another really bad thing?
I don't know.
Let me tell you another. It won't be like a heinous description of a sex crime.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I honestly should have given you a trigger warning first. It's my bad. That is very triggering substance. My fault. I take accountability.
No, I mean, if it happened though, at the same time, as gross as it is, it should be made aware, and those people should be in jail today.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. Now, here's the thing.
We shouldn't hide it. I mean, yeah, it's bad, but those people, they need to have everybody know it, and literally, like.
We realize that the DOJ is not prosecuting what's going on with Epstein. Okay? We realize that. The Trump administration literally called it an act of hostility for any member of Congress to vote for a discharge petition list to vote for the release of the public Epstein files.
Wait, you have to say that again. I'm not that quick. I'm sorry. I didn't understand that.
So we realized that there was not accountability for the other grown men that were involved in those heinous sex crimes to do with the Epstein files. So then we pushed for a law, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, to force the Department of Justice to release the files. So at the bare minimum, okay, we could see who those men were. So then we could either hold them accountable ourselves or push for very specific accountability for very specific people through organized movements. All right? As a country, as a nation of people, not divided, but unionized as one, fighting for this accountability. In response, the Trump DOJ, didn't release all the files. Right now, we only have 50% of them, okay? And the DOJ saying that we're done releasing them. So they're actively defying Congress. They're actively defying you, me, the rest of the American people, as well as federal law, and refusing to release the Epstein files per federal law, per Congress, and per us, we the people. And then for the 50% that they did release, the law only allows them to make redactions for the personally identifiable information of victims, survivors, and minors. Okay?
Wait, who passed this law?
Congress about 3 months ago. About 3 months ago.
So why did they do that?
Because Donald Trump ran on promising to release the Epstein files and then never did. And then told everyone that the Epstein files were a Democratic hoax that we need to stop talking about, which raised this red flag of, oh, fuck, he might be in them. Well, you know, for those that didn't already know. Okay? And then they refused to release 50% of them, said that they're done releasing them. And then for the 50% of the files that they did release, all right, they redacted them to shit, specifically redacted the names of the men involved, specifically redacted all of the co-conspirators related to Epstein, specifically redacted all of the identifiable information about the other people involved in sex crimes. We literally had emails where people were emailing Epstein saying, quote unquote, I love the torture video. Okay?
What?
And the name of the person that sent that email to Epstein was redacted by Donald Trump's Department of Justice, even though the law that forced them to release that did not allow them to make any redactions for any information surrounding anybody but the victims.
No, well, that alone, I'm not voting. I mean, shit. Now that I know that, I can't be a Trump supporter if that's really true.
You're not alone. You're not alone, by the way. You're not the only one, man. Story real quick. So there's obviously like a lot of pro-Trump like content creators, and they pop up on my For You page a lot, obviously, because I engage in political content. I see a lot of conservative stuff. I keep tabs on it. That's what I do with these debates. And there's this one guy, I forget his name, but he makes videos, he's like around my age, where he starts with his phone down here, he then brings the phone up to his face, and then he does this, and then he puts text overlaying on the screen, oh my God, glazing Trump, saying how much he loves him, glazing the GOP, saying how much he loves the Republicans, so on and so forth, okay? And he's been doing that for months, getting hundreds of thousands of likes, millions of views. But then yesterday, I saw a new video from him saying that he no longer supports Trump, and that Mar-a-Lago is mentioned more times in the Epstein files than Jeffrey Epstein's island. Like, people are waking up at mass, okay? There are members of the GOP, there are Republicans, there's ex-MAGA people to the tunes of millions of Americans, okay, that are finally starting to see that they can't support this administration because of the cover-up to do with the Epstein files.
Wow, yeah, I can't either. I mean, that's very disturbing, and I can't support that if he's redacting someone's name. I mean, that's just really, really, really crazy, and that I feel like this should be everybody's focus.
Yeah. Got to tell you one more thing?
Yes.
In the public release of the Epstein files, Donald Trump's name can be found 38,000 times. The Department of Justice gave access to congressmen and women to the unredacted private Epstein files in their internal system. Representative Jamie Raskin was given access to those unredacted files. He searched Trump's name, and according to him, it popped up over 1 million times.
What?
Which means at the minimum, the Trump DOJ has redacted Trump's name north of 900,050 times.
Wow. Why is his name coming up that much? Obviously.
Well, he was Epstein's best friend for years. Well, he lived less than 3 miles away down in Palm Beach, right where Mar-a-Lago is. Well, we know that Donald Trump, okay, is a little bit of a violent sexual predator. Okay, we were talking about this earlier with what he did in those dressing rooms in the 90s.
Right.
You know, we haven't even gotten around to the lawsuit in 2023 that determined he raped a woman. A lawsuit concluded that. Okay, hit on his own daughter, calling her a hot piece of ass, hit on a 10-year-old girl in the 90s. We also know that in 2003, he sent a letter to Epstein depicting the naked body of a woman or girl with a statement, "May every new day be another wonderful secret." And
Wait,
we
start
got
over with this last one. What are you saying about the last one?
2003. It was Epstein's 50th birthday. For his 50th birthday in 2003, he sent Epstein a letter depicting the body of a naked girl with a statement, "May every new day be another wonderful secret." Do you want to see it? I bet I have it saved on my computer. This was released by Congress. So this is the letter.
Oh my gosh.
So this is the letter that Trump sent to Epstein. This has been verified by the Epstein estate. This has been verified by Congress. In fact, it was released by Congress. Donald says to Epstein, at the top it says, "There must be more to life than having everything." Donald says, "Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is." Jeffrey says, "Nor will I, but I also know what it is." Donald says, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey."
What?
Jeffrey says, "Yes, we do, come to think of it." Donald says, "Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that?" Jeffrey says, "As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you." Then Donald said, "A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret."
That is really, really, really disturbing.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then Trump responded to that by trying to discredit that letter by arguing that it's not his signature. Because now he does have a new signature. He has a different signature. But, I mean, every rational mind in America is called bullshit. Because when we compare the signature from that letter to other signatures and other things at that same time, it becomes clear that that's just how he used to sign documents. I'll show that to you now.
Wow. Yeah, see, I was prepared to talk even about the Eugene Carroll, where, I was prepared to say that, he was held, civilly, civilly liable for SA to Eugene Carroll. And then I was just thinking, I don't know how long ago that was. And I was I don't think it's very hard to have a jury in New York where 80% vote Democrat. And what year was that? Probably people hated Trump. I know it's not supposed to happen, but I could still look past that, knowing that, and say, I can't really necessarily prove it, because in a civil court, they don't really need absolute proof. It's just like, they say, well, okay, well, more likely than not, but still, it's like, it's not like really like hardcore, like there's no like facts or like evidence. But when you talk like this, it's just, I'm embarrassed that I even was going to say that. And another thing I was going to say, that doesn't really, it's just another reason why I thought I supported Trump. But it's something that bothered me was back in the late 1800s to early 1900s, Southern Democrat states made the legal age of consent 16, and then it was like the Republican states that made it 18. So, because I just found out actually watching one of your lives, that guy from Nevada the other day, he was 16. I think that's absolutely criminal, like disgusting. Like I've got daughters, one's in college, one's 15. That's just why is the legal age of consent 16?
You actually raise a good question. Okay. Right? Because of predators. It shouldn't be.
No, it should not be.
Nowhere it should be 16. And by the way, I want to let you know that in 1980, the age of consent in Georgia was 14 years old. Bro. Isn't that fucking crazy?
And I'm in Georgia. I actually live in Georgia.
Bro, when you were growing up, the age of consent was 14.
That is sick. That is so sick.
Yeah, no, it is. It's fucking insane. But, in response to your point saying that the Democrat states in the 1800s and the 1900s was like low, I don't hope anyone would be a Democrat in the 1800s. Absolutely not. The Democrats were terrible.
But why hasn't that changed? I don't understand why currently it's like still in actually most states, Dean, a lot of states are 16 today.
Probably for the same reasons that none of the predators in the Epstein files are being held accountable.
This is what we need to be talking about. This is so sick. It's so sick.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate. I'm definitely not. I can't say I'm a Trump supporter anymore, but I feel like there's a lot more work that needs to be done.
No, absolutely, man.
And
It's like there's so much work that needs to be done. I don't even know what that work looks like. Like I couldn't sit here and you know, hop on a Google Doc and like write down an actionable plan of how the fuck to fix this mess. Okay, I don't think anyone could. That's how much work needs to be done. But I know with certainty that at least one step in that plan would not be supporting Trump as president.
yeah. Well, thank you. You definitely, after talking like that, I mean, shoot.
Well, I appreciate.
I mean, like I said, I was prepared to back him up when you said something about the locker rooms, or even not back him up, but and I'll never defend it, but I guess look past because it was like 30 years ago. But if he's currently like trying to hide this information still, and if they were best friends, it's just, yeah. I mean, anyway, I'm not a Trump supporter. But so thank you. I appreciate that.
I really appreciate you for coming up, and I appreciate you for being honest. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. I mean, you're
thank you. You too. I appreciate you. Thanks. I'm going to continue to watch you.
Cool. Take care.